Alright guys, so today I wanted to take a look at the Bad Batch episode 1 through 3 and give you my thoughts on it. So we start off with episode 1, where Omega is stuck on Mount Tantus with, I forgot that clone's name. Anyway, I really love seeing the commandos again, and Mount Tantus is really cool. So, also, with Crosshair and Omega, that was really sad, because Crosshair's kind of a broken man now. Um, his hand shaking, that was really interesting to me because I guess all the experiments that they've done to him and stuff made him weak, I guess you could say. Omega's M count is really interesting, and Nalse having to dispose of the samples, which we'll see in episode 3 what happens. But I think the episode 1 was good. It was a little slow in some areas, but I really liked it. It really showed and set up Mount Tantus, and I think Dr. Hemlock is a really interesting character so far. So seeing the commandos, I really like that, and seeing all these clones being imprisoned now, the Empire does not care about the clones anymore. It's so sad, and it's just unfair for the clones really, because they served the Republic in the war for a long time, and now they're just mistreated and neglected. They don't get a good retirement. I'm thinking later in the season, Crosshair will probably maybe sacrifice himself or do something nice for the whole crew. Also, something really interesting that I noticed is how Omega is really positive and finds the good in each other, and Crosshair is like, well, why do you trust all these people? And she's like, well, you don't trust enough. And you can see on his face in that moment, I think he was thinking about that clone in season 2, that the Imperial, I forgot his name, but he killed the clone. That was like his friend that he trusted. So I think he was thinking back to that. But it seems like Crosshair is really depressed now, and maybe he'll get hope back, which we see in later episodes a bit. When Omega drops this big thing on the droid, it reminds me of when Obi-Wan dropped that big thing with the Force on the droids and just cut off his head. So that's what it did remind me of when I first watched that. But then once Omega lets out the animal that she was friends with, Dr. Hemlock was like, your actions have consequences. So Omega needs to get some more experience and to understand what to do and what not to do, because she's a little inexperienced right now and trust a lot of people. Overall, I'd give episode 1 an 8 out of 10. Let's move on to episode 2. So in episode 2, we start out with this queen of, I don't know what planet it is, but Wrecker and Hunter are trying to get information on where Dr. Hemlock took Omega. So they brought in this Pike, and she gave them the information basically, and it was his old planet with this old Imperial base for cloning, Dr. Hemlock's old office, which I thought was really interesting because it just was like, I like seeing ruined and abandoned stuff. I think it's cool. So I like seeing that. Also seeing these clones that were abandoned from the facility is really cool because, it's sad as well because they wanted to fight in the war, but the Empire doesn't care about the clones anymore. They want the stormtroopers, and kind of sad to see them just sitting there and chilling, So they go to the abandoned base and they go try to get data for where Omega is. And I really like this scene. It was like these monster things that the Empire made, which really shows how evil they are, just messing with all these creatures and making them like abominations. I did really like the scene with the Sarlacc pit type thing where they threw all those explosives into its mouth. That was really cool. Just it explodes. Yeah, I really like that scene. The animation in this show is also really good. A really big step up from previous seasons, which I really like. Overall, I think I'd give this episode a 7.5 out of 10. It was still great, but it wasn't as good as episode 1. Let's move on to episode 3, my personal favorite so far. So we start the episode off where Nala Se has to attend to the special guest, which is Palpatine. So this is where it gets interesting. When Palpatine gets off his ship and starts walking in, which is very interesting to me because he when he first walks in, he's like, okay, we got other projects going on, but he's like, that's not why I'm here today. And he talks about Project Necromancer, which, you know, people are kind of mad that it could be tying into the sequels, but I I'm it's not a big deal for me. Like, you know, it might not even be Snoke like some people are saying. Like originally I did think it was Snoke, but it probably is a younger Palpatine or like a force sensitive like clone like George Sabayoth in Heir to the Empire, which I think would be cool to see because I did hear Bad Batch is tying into Ahsoka. But again, it doesn't bother me that much. If I mean the sequels are bad, but if you want to tie in backstory to make them seem a little better, I mean, why not, I guess. I thought this scene of Crosshair breaking out was pretty cool. It was funny as well. He's just like, I demand you to open this cell. And the Stormtrooper's like, no, I have like more authority over you. And really, the clones, it's exactly the opposite. The clones are so much better than the Stormtroopers, and the Stormtroopers don't even realize it. So we enter this room, and the cloning facility, which does look like the cloning facility in Rise of Skywalker. And it, like I said, what's ever in that capsule Palpatine opens up, it could be a young version of him, it could be a Force-sensitive Sith or Jedi, like Jorah Sabaroth, or it could be Snoke. We do not know yet. We will have to see. I just think the scenes with Palpatine in them are really chilling and just good. Like, I think it's Ian McDermott that did the voice, which he smashes that out of the park every time. So, seeing Palpatine's always really cool. And I hope we see more of him in the series. More, what this project is about that he wants. Which is probably, he says, to secure the future of this empire, I'll give you whatever is needed. So it's probably just to make sure he never dies. And, that's what we want in Legends too. So Dr. Hemlock has all the resources in the Empire, which my theory for the end of the season is, or just the whole season in general, he'll probably hire bounty hunters like, Cad Bane, like we saw in the trailer, and maybe Boba Fett. That would be cool to see. And then Boba Fett and Cad Bane get in a fight, like that original Clone Wars arc that we got deleted. I think that would be sick. But we're also gonna get Asajj Ventress probably hunting the Bad Batch down, and that will be cool to see. That will be good. But what I think will happen is these other bounty hunters might fail, and they're like, okay, we gotta get out the big guns. And they get Vader to come in there. And Vader kills off all the Bad Batch. Maybe leaves a few of them. Probably Omega, because they need her, obviously. And, Vader just kills off most of the clones. Because we only see Rex, Gregor, and Fox in Rebels. So maybe they just survive and get away from Vader and the rest of the Bad Batch dies. Who knows? We will see. Which that would be a really dark ending. But this whole escape scene, I really like this escape scene. And Crosshair shows a little more trust in Omega. Even though she didn't really have a plan, he's going along with it more. And he reminisces about how Tech made you memorize the plans, didn't he? And that was cool to see. But his aim was off, so he couldn't aim anymore, which is sad to see. So he had to just go into hand-to-hand combat and defeat all of them. So they have escaped, and it'll be interesting to see what happens and what in the world Omega was made for. So this show has been very exciting so far. I'd probably give the third episode a 9.5 out of 10. It was awesome. I can't wait to see what else we get out of this show. Now, I have seen some things online about Tech not being dead, and it would be something like where Echo was in the Clone Wars, where he wasn't quite dead, but it would be like really sad, like they're using him for like Tech's the brains, Wrecker's the strength, Hunter's has the senses. It's like a really enhanced Palpatine clone, or whatever they're cloning. Just like a really enhanced clone with all the Bad Batch together. That would be OP. But I don't think they should bring Tech back. I think it would just ruin his death and his character arc. I just think they should stop bringing back characters that die. Just ruins their death. So this show could connect to Ahsoka and Dave Filoni's movie, which I would love to see. Like Luke fighting this clone, whatever they're making, or like Jorah Sabaoth, like in Legends. Like that would be really cool to see. Like Luke and Ahsoka fighting that clone. So I cannot wait to see the future of Star Wars. I hope it gets better. And I can't wait for the rest of the show for Bad Batch. So new episode coming tomorrow, guys. I really can't wait. I got a lightsaber unboxing video probably coming soon. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and may the Force be with you always.